I'm running for president. Everyday Americans need a champion, and I want to be that champion. I'm hitting the road to earn your vote, and I hope you'll join me on this journey.
We've got our reporters coming up from Ferguson. It's a crazy situation there with people getting shot and businesses being looted and other issues. We put out a video about unity and the Oath Keepers calling for unity and trying to educate folks on the ground about how divide and conquer works and George Soros and protecting black businesses, because mainly black businesses have been getting burned. And CBS News puts out a report about white supremacists, Oath Keepers, and InfoWars with no evidence of white supremacists, just to demonize the whole thing. But they've since retracted it. Meanwhile, Missouri representative, we have the video of this coming up, says take out the Oath Keepers. Take them out. Calls them instigators because they're there guarding businesses. Were the Korean shop owners instigators in the South Central LA riot 20 years ago? 20 plus years ago? It's all coming up. Infowars.com, prisonplanet.tv, and news from Europe as well. We're going to go to Jakari Jackson and Joe Biggs right now, reporting as a great team. They've both been pepper sprayed, rubber bulleted in the case of Biggs, along with Al Jazeera and others, and when the police were out of control and ordered to target the media. Again, we're not saying they're perfect. They're certainly out of control and shameful and stupid and mindless, and that's what happens in a mob situation. Both sides degenerate, and that's why Soros wants to bring this in. But we'll see what's happened since they got there yesterday. We've already had CBS News retract, trying to tie Jakari and Biggs and Oath Keepers. You know, they're all in the same article. In with white supremacists. There's no white supremacists there. There's no connection. And into that, we're hiring the Oath Keepers to intimidate people. They have removed the article. We have screenshots of it at Infowars.com right now. It's red-linked, and it's not just because it's about us. It just shows how they manipulate stories. CBS News reports fake story on Infowars, hiring militia. Joining us is Joe Biggs. I think he's first up on camera. Then we'll get Jakari's take. Joe, you've heard my little rant there. Fill in the blanks.
All right, Joe Biggs here with Infowars.com. We're currently standing on South Florissant Avenue, right across from the fire department and police station. If you guys remember back last November, this is the exact location where Jakari Jackson and I were standing when the no indictment came out and the killing of Michael Brown with Officer Darren Wilson. Now things have began to heat up again a year later on the anniversary of Michael Brown's killing. And a lot of people have taken to the street and began some peaceful protests. Sunday night, there were peaceful protests mostly throughout the entire day. When a few things erupted, some people were arrested, a business was broken into, a man was shot, and a couple of reporters were beaten up. So last night, we found out that we'd be coming into town. I actually reached out. I contacted some of the Oath Keepers like I do whenever I go to a different state. And I just try to get a point of view, information from boots on the ground, from people who live there, because it's a lot easier to talk to someone that we already have a rapport with versus just randomly stopping and asking somebody what's going on. So I asked the guys, what's the situation in Ferguson? What's the attitude like? What's going on? And they just said, you know, things have been heated up really well. We were asked to go and guard some of these different businesses. Now over here to my right, your left, is where some of the small businesses were that black owners have. And they contacted the Oath Keepers last year, and they stood guard. The Oath Keepers stood guard and protected these businesses from looters and riots. So they already have a good rapport. So they contacted me back and said, hey, I've got a small 5-man team, including myself. We'd like to come out, if you wouldn't mind, and pull some security so you and Jakari have the ability to report without having to worry about anybody running up behind you, hitting you over the head, kicking you to the ground, and stomping on you.
That was very nice of them. I want to thank them for that.
Yeah, like I said, we never hired them. We never exchanged any kind of currency, anything like that. They offered their help. They volunteered to be there and support us because they support what we do. And the guys, literally, one of the quotes last night was, he's like, hey, Jakari Jackson and Joe, you guys are some of the real, last good reporters. We want to keep you guys alive as long as possible to continue reporting on these events so people can find out the truth about what's really going on. So that's why we're out here. We want to expose what's going on. We know that there's a lot of police corruption going on. You know, the fact that these body cameras get sent back to the police stations for only these police officers to then judge themselves. I actually spoke to a gentleman last night, one of the protesters, says, why doesn't the footage go to a non-biased source, someone who can watch that footage and then use that to go into court if something does happen? instead of that footage from the body cams just going directly to the police force and those guys going, we're not going to release that, or it's not going to come out.
Well, I agree. The fact that they waited on Brown so long is what helped build all this up. It almost seemed like somebody wanted to stir things up, or do you think the people in charge are just that ignorant?
I think they're just that ignorant. I mean, that's what Jakari was and I were talking about earlier, the fact that a lot of these community leaders in St. Louis don't really do what they need to do to take care of stuff. Now, we saw in other situations like in Charleston, South Carolina, and Cleveland and Cincinnati, when the community came together, the leaders, the politicians who are there supposed to help out the civilians in that area, when they came together and they did the right thing, nothing happened. It was cool, calm, and collective. There were no riots. There was nothing. A horrendous, crime was committed in Charleston, South Carolina, and the community came together. They pulled together. But you don't see that here in Ferguson that much.
Joe, I want to get Jakari's take on the situation here and flip around and get him in front of the camera there. But specifically, what is it like under the emergency that's declared? And we're now hearing the police chief is saying they're talking to the, quote, demonstrators and locals about what they think the role of the armed men is and should guns be allowed during a civil emergency. So if they say no guns during a civil emergency, what a precedent outside of law. You need guns during the breakdown of society in the emergency. All common sense shows that. So a very chilling statement.
Well, last night was very interesting. When we first walked out, we approached West Florissant Avenue. We got out, and everybody saw us. And a lot of people at the beginning were kind of upset because they didn't know who it was. They just saw a group of 5 guys with guns and 2 people walking in the middle of them. Once we got across the street, the police officer stopped us, said, please don't walk behind us with your guns. We said, okay, that's fine. We walked in front of them down the sidewalk towards the Quick Trip. We made a left, went back over to the Sam's Meat Market where those gentlemen have in times past came out with guns and protected their business. And then we began to walk back towards the McDonald's on West Florissant. A lot of people jumped out and said, what the hell are you guys doing out here? Why do you have guns? And there was a number of people who came out and said, hey, that's InfoWars. These guys are good. They tell the truth. And another lady came out of the crowd and went over to Sam, one of the Oath Keepers, and said, hey, this guy has been helping protect black businesses. These guys are good people. Leave them alone. Let them do their job. So you get a lot of people that come out here and spread, disinformation, all these lies and this BS.
Well, exactly. Here's what's happening, Joe. All that horn's going off. We'll fade it down and I'll talk for a moment. But expanding on that, they're trying to take our guns. They have a program to demonize the ownership of guns. They admitted at the Justice Department the word is brainwash. The compound word is brainwash. There's a directive, and so we exercise the Second Amendment openly to counter that and say guns aren't illegal. And the answer is the good people of every race, color, and creed with guns scares off the bad people. Bad people are going to have them hidden and pull it out on you when you don't know what's happening, when you don't know what's going on. And so that's why they're pushing this. That's why they want to demonize the Oath Keepers who've never been involved in crime, never been involved in anything racist, are just supporting the Bill of Rights and Constitution. And Stuart Rhodes and others, one of Ron Paul's former staff members that founded it, frequent guest here, are simply saying clearly the elite are getting ready for a collapse. It could be imminent. We need to get ourselves squared away and get ready to maintain security during the collapse of society. And what is the black sheriff of Milwaukee saying? Same thing, and he's a member of Sheriff Mack's group. What is the black police chief of Detroit saying? Buy guns to protect yourself. They're getting rid of the police force, basically. And cops, the head of Interpol, a black guy again. I don't know why it's black guy who are police chiefs saying this, saying we should arm people to stop mass shootings. It's common sense. It's not racist. It doesn't work anymore. Let's see if that horn's still going off there in Ferguson, Missouri, with Joe Biggs joining us via video link. Go ahead.
Well, last night we were able to actually engage in a really good conversation. Like I said at the beginning, a lot of people were kind of just concerned. They're like, all right, what's going on? But then once people saw who we were, everyone calmed down. They came over. We crossed the street again. And people came over and they asked us, why would you do this? And some people didn't even know that they were able to do that in their own state that they live in. So it was an opportunity to speak to people about the Second Amendment, your rights to be able to carry guns. A lot of people didn't even know the facts behind it, that if you don't have a felony and you're not under the influence of alcohol or drugs, that you can carry a long gun or you can carry a shotgun, but that's the thing, that people don't know that. And they were completely shocked. They said, well, if you guys can carry them, why can't I carry them? And Jakari, at one point, I remember he looked at the guy, he said, no one told you couldn't carry a gun. You have that right. It's your ability. You just need to go out, learn the laws, understand what it is that you need to do to be able to do that, and you can exercise your Second Amendment. peacefully.
That's right. And look, what you're doing is bold. What you're doing is dangerous. It's one of the ultimate civil rights, human rights movements for open carry. They say it's against the law to open carry rifles in San Antonio, violates state law. We marched with the Texas Land Commissioner for the first political speech at Alamo history because they didn't allow speeches after it was destroyed. And the state took it over from the Daughters of the Republic of Texas. And we gave a speech, 1,500 people of every race, color, and creed. And now they're changing the law in San Antonio. So we're taking our rights back. Just 20 years ago, driving around Austin, every 10th pickup truck had a 243 or a 308 deer rifle in it. Well, cops started harassing people under orders by politically correct police chiefs. So people are putting their guns back in their gun racks. And if a cop harasses you, we're not anti-police, but we're pro-America. We're going to sue you. We're going to sue the police department until they stop giving you illegal orders. This is a movement. We're not backing off. We're not backing down. Jakari Jackson joining us from Ferguson, Missouri. Jakari, you're brave again to be back out there. I'm glad you guys wanted to go. What is your take on your observations since you got there yesterday afternoon?
Jakari Jackson reporting from Ferguson, Missouri. Now, Alex, as I always talk about Ferguson, Missouri, people see all the craziness and the things that happen on TV. And yes, that stuff does happen. I just want to reassure the viewers that the majority of the people out here are peaceful. They are, nice, gentle people. They may go out into the crowds and protest, but they do so peacefully. What you see on TV is a violent minority. With that said, we've seen the reports of reporters being attacked, people being put into the hospital and all that. And also, if you guys recall, last November, when myself and Joe Biggs were here, we were talking to a reporter about this just a little bit ago. Firefighters were being attacked. They had people shooting at them. And even though there was a SWAT team 200 yards away, they didn't come down and help the firefighters. The firefighters had to leave. So with that in mind, we said, well, we don't want to wait for somebody to come and maybe protect us. We wanted to be able to protect ourselves. So the Oath Keepers so graciously came out and shadow us around, provided us with security as we moved about. Once again, we did not hire them. We did not exchange any type of funds, Bitcoins, or anything else. They came out here and just wanted to help us as we were reporting on the activities of the day. And to anybody who says they were out here fear-mongering and bullying people, you can see the videos on Infowars.com. At one point, the conversation between the Oath Keepers and the public got so relaxed, they started talking about taxes. To me,
and that's what scares CBS News and why they try to bring in white supremacist stuff in the article when there was none of that going on, is they imagine demonstrators get along with armed vigilantes. I mean, that would be their headline. That's a sensational headline. That's the truth. So you guys should shoot a video with your original video, Jakari, and point that out, that demonstrators in Ferguson embrace armed citizens. I mean, that's true. It's what happened, but you wouldn't believe that with CBS following orders from the Southern Poverty Law Center.
And that's the thing. We talked about this a little bit ago. Myself, Joe Biggs, many of the Oath Keepers talked to many news outlets, also people with just iPhones or whatever, and they asked, are you guys being paid? We told everybody, no, these guys are not being paid. But somehow it's still wound up on CBS that we were paying these guys off, even though that's 100% not true. You guys can go watch Rob Dew's report about it when he talked to, I guess it was their news director over there at CBS. But the situation right now, Alex, is very peaceful. It's very calm. Maybe we can pan around and show people that this is the police station where last year we were out here for the indictment or the no indictment, and then a little bit of chaos broke out after that. So it's largely calm right now, and hopefully it will stay that way, Alex.
Jakari, I kind of let you guys run things on your own because obviously you're the eyes and ears on the ground. What do you expect to happen tonight? Are things being diffused with a state of emergency? You planning to stay? What do you expect?
Well, we'll definitely be back out here tonight. As far as when we got here, we got off the plane a little bit late. We had some delays, but when we got here, things were largely quiet. Yeah, there are crowds out there, but, no hubbub, no rocks being thrown that I saw, no frozen water bottles. All that stuff had happened at an earlier time. So, the police were out there. They just said, please don't walk in front of us with your firearms. We didn't do that, and we didn't have any issues.
Well, good job, just like you did in San Antonio out there with that open carry, Jakari. Tip of the spear, Infowars.com. Thank you so much. Be safe out there tonight. And I guess you guys are probably planning to come home Thursday?
Later sometime this week. We haven't set a firm date yet.
Good. Yeah, obviously, we hope you get to come back soon. We hope things get de-escalated. Alex Jones here to break down some exciting developments in the area of research concerning supplemental iodine. It's nothing less than phenomenal. I began to get into iodine a few years ago because it was helping me and my family so much get healthy and detoxify. And I used some of the mainline iodine supplements and they upset my stomach and I had some issues with it. Until I discovered a product being developed by Dr. Group, who I was already interviewing as an expert on my radio show, and I began taking the product before he actually rolled it out. You now know it as Survival Shield True Nascent Iodine that your body can really absorb. Then, about a year ago, he said, listen, if you think this is powerful, I'm going to come out with rare earth, deep earth crystals that are incredibly powerful that no one else has as a source for their iodine from between 7,000 and 12,000 feet, literally drilled out of the ground. You put it on a hot plate and it turns into the pure gas. No one else has 99.99% pure iodine. And the results that I personally have had have been life-changing. I was over 270 pounds. And with the iodine, exercise, and better diet, I have lost now more than 50 pounds total, and I'm continuing to lose the weight. I have more energy, my libido, all this crap came out of my skin. I believe our research is conclusive. This is the best iodine out there. And I know this for a fact. Nobody else has got iodine based on these pure crystals, ladies and gentlemen. This is innovating. This is trailblazing. And the best part is it helps fund Infowars.com, the radio show, the TV show, the whole media operation promoting true libertarian ideas. For a limited time, experience the ancient power of Survival Shield X2. Take advantage of this unprecedented 30% off Super Detox Special at InfoWarsLife.com.
I'm running for president. Everyday Americans need a champion, and I want to be that champion. I'm hitting the road to earn your vote, and I hope you'll join me on this journey.
We've got our report wars with no evidence of white supremacists just to demonize the whole thing, but they've since retracted it. Meanwhile, Missouri representative, we have the video of this coming up, says take out the Oath Keepers. Take them out. Calls them instigators because they're there guarding businesses. Were the Korean shop owners instigators in the South Central orders coming up from Ferguson? It's a crazy situation there with people getting shot and businesses being looted and other issues. We put out a video about unity and the Oath Keepers calling for unity and trying to educate folks on the ground about how divide and conquer works and George Soros and protecting black businesses. It's mainly black businesses have been getting burned, and CBS News puts out a report about white supremacist Oath Keepers and Info LA riot 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago. It's all coming up. Infowars.com, prisonplanet.tv, and news from Europe as well. We're going to go to Jakari Jackson and Joe Biggs right now, reporting as a great team. They've both been pepper sprayed, rubber bulleted in the case of Biggs, along with Al Jazeera and others, and when the police were out of control and ordered to target the media. Again, we're not saying they're perfect. They're certainly out of control and shameful and stupid and mindless, and that's what happens in a mob situation. Both sides degenerate, and that's why Soros wants to bring this in. But we'll see what's happened since they got there yesterday. We've already had CBS News retract, trying to tie